All right, so the end of session. I'm here. This is Bailey. This is Belle. This is a bully stick, and I'm going to use this to keep in the shop for a minute. This is their roadmap to success. So basically, I talked to one of the primary things the Guardian wants to work on is Miss Bailey here likes to. It is not as doesn't behave as well as we would like when certain guests come by, but the house doesn't really get a lot of guests, so it's not a lot of practice for her. So we talked about really training her and teaching her how we want her to behave. You can celebrate that. Go ahead, pet, say yes, and pet her under her chin. So basically, yes, you're gonna try to take it away from me, huh? So basically, we can set our dogs up for success. So when it was over the holiday weekend, there's a lot of people here, which is not normal, and the dogs are a little, and it's about an hour and a half visit, which is probably a little bit long for Miss Bailey. So next time we're gonna have somebody come over, if we can, let's invite the people to come over the week before, one at a time. And so so Bella gets a chance to interact with them, or excuse me, Bailey gets a chance to interact with them without the pressure of a whole bunch of people here, and without the host being distracted by providing an awesome spread and making sure everybody has drinks and all that fun stuff. So we can exercise our set our dogs up for success with some exercise. We talked. They came to one of our workshops. We already talked about sniffing burns a lot of energy. We went through Cookie in the Corner, Nolanda. No Lydia. So basically that's a scent game, and I should have it linked up above, where basically it teaches the dog to go and search and hunt for things. Dogs using their nose drain a lot of energy. So one of the things I talked about was maybe taking the dogs out for a walk separately. So one of the dogs goes in the backyard, in the front yard in the morning for a little bit of a walk. The other one goes outside to play fetch, or is inside the house doing a little training. So they practice being a little apart. They both have they're very bonded, which is great, but we want them to practice and have a little bit of security, feeling independent of each other. And as long as they're doing something active, that should be okay, and that helps them practice being apart, which is an important thing for any dog. So maybe in the morning we take them out for, one of the dogs goes for like a 10-minute walk while the other dog plays fetch in the backyard or does some training. Then we come back in, we let the dogs rest for about 10 minutes, and as humans we shower, do our morning ritual. We get done with that, maybe we feed the dogs out of a snuffle mat. And the Guardian's done a great job of teaching the dog to wait for food. Now I would have them, when it's time for Miss Belle here to eat, they're sitting, they're waiting. Instead of hearing, okay, I would say lasagna or pork chop or whatever your favorite food is, and then tap the bowl. Belle comes over and eats the food. That means that eventually, with enough practice and repetition, that becomes the cue. Sit, or pork chop means I get to go eat my food. And while she's doing that, Bailey's sitting there waiting. And when she gets done, she walks away, and then we give Bailey permission to eat, or flip it. So the dogs are practicing a little bit of self-control, waiting for permission to eat. Not going to solve all your problems, but practicing a little bit of self-restraint, self-control is important. Also, we can do playing fetch. I'll let you have that so you don't chew my finger. Playing fetch is a great way to burn energy. Getting a doggy backpack is a great way to burn energy. It makes the walk a little bit more efficient. Check with your vet to make sure your dog's mobility is okay before you do that sort of thing. What was the word you used? Not find it? Get it?
Get it.
Get it. Get it. Get it when you're on walks. If the dog is starting to see something, let's say that somebody's walking by and you're with Bailey and you think Bailey might start barking at them. Show her you have a treat, get it, and throw it on the ground. Say the person's over there. So you show Bailey a treat, throw it here, she goes and gets it, she's searching it, drains a lot of energy, but she's turned away from the people. And she gets done, I say, get it, and throw another one. People are walking this way and I'm walking that way. So you can walk and get your dog out of trouble before they get into habit of doing, or before they start reacting. And it's important to practice this when there's nobody around at first. Otherwise, oh, you get it? Oh, there must be somebody behind us. So you want her just so engrossed in what she's doing that she's using her nose, drains more energy, and she's not targeting or practicing, barking at somebody else. Now, if you see somebody's coming, try to use your environment. There's a car, walk around the car. Use the car to block her from doing it. You want to block the dog from practicing the behavior that they're offering if it's a behavior you don't want. But remember, all the behavior is trying to achieve something. So for Miss Bailey, maybe she's barking at them because I bark at them in the yard and then they go away. So my barking works. And I'm insecure, so I don't want them to know that I'm insecure, so I'm going to bark and act aggressive to make them go away. So that's why the video above, we went over the engage-disengage game. That starts to create a positive. Now looking at people gets me a treat. I don't have to get petted by them. I don't have to touch them. They don't even come in my house or my yard, but looking at them gets me a treat. And after a while, looking away from them gets me the treat. I forgot to go over that in the video above, I think, as clear as I'd like. So at first, the first stage of the engage-disengage game is you're marking when the dog looks at the camera as the person, yes, and the dog turns away and gets the treat. After a while, what happens is the dog's kind of like this, looks at the person and looks away automatically to get the treat. That's the disengage. And that comes a little bit later on. And the first time your dog looks at the other dog, and I guess she did it in the video, but as soon as they do it, usually I say yes and give them 5 treats in a row. Just say yes once, we give them a jackpot. We want Bailey going, what did I do? I just did something. I got a whole bunch of treats. Yeah, you looked at somebody and then you looked away from somebody. So now instead of barking at them to make them go away, she's looking at them and looking away. You give them a treat, and if you kind of deliver the treat a little bit slower, get it? And look back, hey, the people are gone. So now looking away from people makes them go away. Doesn't always, but that little area that you have, the way that it's structured is there's a small view field that actually works really well. So that engage, disengage game, I'd like to see you practice that a couple times a day. At first, practice that in like 2 to 5 minute practice sessions. At first, practice that with a friend or a neighbor. So you get better at your timing and technique. But after a while, then you can start doing it. 4:30 to 5:30 is usually probably a pretty busy time of people walking their dogs around here. Well, then that's a time that I exercise my dog for a walk, a half an hour first, beforehand, give him 10 minutes of rest, and then I'm out there. And I would probably do this with one dog at a time, really just with Bailey, since Belle doesn't really have this as an issue. Getting back to exercise, scent games. Cooking the corners, tossing that treat, and the dog finds them. And eventually you can do that in your yard. You see people come by, find it, or get it, and they get it. You mark every time they get it, get it, get it, get it. Now the dog's sniffing the ground instead of looking for people. I've seen people do shredded cheddar cheese, or not cheddar, that's all right, shredded Swiss cheese, and go sprinkle some of that in the grass. Now I got to really work to get that, and I'm preoccupied while those people are coming by. Also, you want to try to avoid having people outside or having her outside at those times that you're not prepared for it. If she barks and she's freaking out, she's practicing doing that, and then her barking seems to make them go away. All right, now both of them like to lick?
No.
Just
Bailey.
Okay, just Bailey likes to lick. So licking and chewing release endorphins. So one of the things that the guardians could do is we talked about giving a lick mat. Give him a lick mat when the dog gets in that licking mode. Give them a lick mat. I would get a piece of wood or something you can put those with the suction cups on so they can't grab it. You can, right now the guardians use a Kong, but the problem is a Kong is you can pick that up and go around. The lick mat, if it's stuck to a board, I have to lick it here. And that's a nice thing that you can do when grandma comes. So you put the lick mat over there. Grandma comes over for a visit. We've exercised the dogs 20 minutes before grandma shows up. The dogs get a rest, and then grandma comes in the house. I'm licking a lick mat. And so maybe I go up and say hi to mom, grandma, and then I go back and I practice on the lick mat. Now we can also teach you to go to the dog bed and things along those lines, but I'd like you to try to refrain from giving the dog a timeout by going to the dog bed. If your dog's reacting to something, I increase the distance, but I don't ever punish a dog because dogs are usually reacting to things, and punishment just really doesn't work very well for dogs. Also be mindful, and I think the guardian was just doing this because she wanted to, we're helping. But anytime that Belle kind of gets skittish and wants to run away, let her run away. The guardians are great. She has a safe place under the table and the basement. Make sure you let her have access to that. If you don't, that really creates a lot of anxiety because I can't go to my safe place. But the idea is really to try to create positive associations so that she feels more comfortable and confident with them. That's why I'd like you to get in a habit of celebrating. So celebrating is basically when the dog sits, comes to you, looks you in the eye, lays down, goes to the dog bed, could be pooping, could be drinking water, any desirable act that you don't ask for. So when the dog comes on her own, so little Miss Bell is going to come over here when she gets done sniffing, and when she does, I'll give you an example of celebrating. It might take a minute, but basically the way it is, you want to say your marker word the instant the dog does the thing that you want. So for this example, when she actually COMEs to me, then I'm going to say yes, and then I'm going to pet her. And so I didn't ask her to do it, so she doesn't feel like I don't want to do it because I did it on my own. She's making me work for it. But that's the thing for celebrating. You have to be very mindful. Yes, she doesn't even know why she got petted, but she got petted when she comes to me. That makes her more likely to do that. If every time she looks at me, I say yes and pet her. Remember also to pet under the chin, on the chest, or on the two shoulders to promote that nose-up orientation. That'll be a confident body mechanic. And the idea is we want to get the dogs learning that sitting, coming, eye contact, going to the dog bed, laying at my feet, get attention. The guardian, like a lot of guardians, was saying no, stop, and giving attention for things she didn't want. But when the dog comes yes on her own, we're not giving that attention. So the dog's going to do the thing that gets the attention more consistently. And let's make sure the thing that gets the attention more consistently is a desired behavior as opposed to undesired behavior. Last thing is, I call this, well, really it's a way of teaching dogs manners. So if the dog comes up and nudges you, paws at you, barks at you, it's usually demand. It's kind of a way of saying I want some attention from you. Now, there's nothing wrong with your dogs asking for attention. We love that. But it is kind of telling you what to do a little bit. And if you do it, then consistently after a while, the dog's like, I get to tell my humans what to do, and they do it. So next time that one of them comes up and nudges you, I'd like you to tell them to sit one time. If they sit, say your marker word yes, and then pet under the chin, on the chest, or on the shoulders. And they don't sit within 2 seconds if you say it the first time, lean back in your chair, go back to watching TV, make some art, play the piano, play a little hard to get. Playing hard to get works great for dating, it works great for dog training too. The dog is missing out and not getting the affection. But as soon as the dog does sit, and you're also at the same time celebrating. So every time she sits, I'm getting affection. So after a while, the dog will come up and sit in front of you to prepay for the attention. That's like saying, please, pet me. When she does, yes, I will thank you and pet you, because that's the activity, that's what I want you to do to grandma, instead of jumping up on grandma or spazzing out. So after a while, she'll start sitting in front of you to ask for attention. When she does, you bet your bottom, you better pet her. Now, if she does it, sits, and you pet her for a minute and go back to watch TV, she does it again, probably say, I'm bored. Take me out for a little bit of a walk. Your average dog needs about an hour's worth of exercise a day. I think the dogs get a walk a day, which is good, but probably a little insufficient. Playing with each other isn't really practicing any sort of self-control. So it'd be nice if we could have the dogs getting, maybe like I said in the beginning, a snuffle mat for eating, or a walk first, then a snuffle mat about a half an hour later, and then maybe a little training 2 hours later. You know that people are going to come by. Exercise the dogs a little bit ahead of time. Set them up for success. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I'm sure that we covered a whole bunch of other stuff. If you have any questions, please let me know. Puppy. Yeah. This is Miss, come here, Belle, sit. This is the back of Belle, yes. This is the back of Bailey, yes. And this is their roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it.